All right. Hello.
Hey.
We have returned, and I am in video today, which is good. I've got it figured out.
Yeah.
Anyways, Tim's asking about the song, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's it's from an upcoming game we're working on currently called Sky Chasers Reborn. It's by um, Why Not and Nikolai on Twitter. It's
mhm,
a two man team, and it's being published by Armor Games, and they want a really like aggressive, hard-hitting rock chiptune soundtrack. Some people call it Nintendo Core. Uh,
yeah.
and yeah, we just started working on that this week, and we'll be messing around with last week, and we'll be messing around with some new things over the
Mhm,
coming weeks as we build the soundtrack up. So it's
mhm.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. It will be cool. Um, well, anyways, so we're gonna start the stream by we're gonna just do a quick little chat here about kind of getting started in the games industry as an audio person. Um, so yeah, I mean, as far as I guess we'll talk about what we've done. I guess it's probably the only thing
Sure.
we can do, right?
Yeah.
Because there's I
Yeah,
think
we know what I mean, it's different for everybody, but we
yeah,
know what
yeah,
worked for us. So we'll
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about what worked for us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the number one thing we started out with initially was just building a portfolio. We just wrote a bunch of different songs and try to get different genres and try to figure out where our holes were and how to fill that. Now, that being said, not everyone is going to do that, right? Some people are not going to try to make a portfolio that is every genre ever and stuff like that. Like some people will just, whatever you do, just make a portfolio and make it really as polished
Yeah.
as you can, right?
Some people know that they're really good at making one certain genre, whether it's like, synthwave or epic orchestral music or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and they'll just play to their strengths entirely and only do that and only pitch for games that would require that. But I guess when we started up, we were thinking that it would maybe be beneficial, especially since there's two of us, to try to
Mm-hmm.
cast as wide a net as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So we made a portfolio, we made a website on Tumblr, uh, and did we buy a URL? We eventually bought a URL, yeah. So we had a
Yeah, we started
URL.
with the free version and then we upgraded to the URL, which is still super cheap.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it looked fine. It was
yeah.
very basic, but for what we needed, it was definitely not bad.
Yeah,
Um,
we modified a theme and kind of messed with the HTML of it.
it did
And
help
yeah.
though. We got really nice business cards because we had great art from Eric Hibbler,
Yes.
who did some work with Butterscotch Shenanigans at the time when we were working on
Mhm.
Crash Lands.
Yeah.
So having really nice
Branding, I think.
branding,
Branding over,
yeah,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
definitely helped a lot.
Well,
I think.
with a stupid name like Fat Bard, you got to have really good branding. I think that was
Yeah.
one of the main motivators for actually using that name was that we were kind of coming up with different names. I think it involved the word Bard, and we just thought,
Yeah.
well, this is gonna be really striking. People will not forget it, and we could have some really good branding with it. And Eric's art really like sort of sold it. You know what I mean? Like made it
Yeah.
work. You look at that and go, oh, okay, I see. This works. Um, and so that initial design has really, I think, been great for us. But yeah, once we had all that set up, then we started like doing a lot of game jams locally, and reaching out to local developers, and we started looking on TIG forums and Kickstarter and stuff like that, trying to kind of find prospective games. And we definitely did a lot of soliciting, right, and emailing people and saying, "Hey, please let me do
Yeah.
stuff for your game," But we almost always, had some sort of compensation involved.
Right.
You know that.
You want to be able to, you want to feel like your work is worth something, and you want the developer to feel like your work is worth something. So at least
Yeah.
charging, you know, a
Re-
very small percentage deal.
yeah, like a
Uh,
revenue share or something. At least I don't know. If you don't value yourself, why should people value you, right?
yeah.
So it sends a bad message if you're basically just working for completely free. Even if you are desperate to get like started out and
Yeah.
to get work.
I mean, if you want to work for free, go to a game jam.
Well, yeah,
That's what.
yeah, yeah. You can build a portfolio of games. We started out a lot of times when we did a game jam. We post that on Bandcamp and be like, check out this thing that we're going to pretend is a full game or a full soundtrack, or but really it's just like a quick jam we did or whatever, but
Right.
like that looks good, just throwing up a bunch of albums on Bandcamp that are, cohesive little things, maybe only, 3 songs or 5 songs or something that all go
Yeah.
together, that looks good. So you could
And
just do game jams like that.
And we kept, I feel like we kept, expanding our list of, we would get a game here or there, do a couple of game jams between the two of us for a game jam. We could, tackle, 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
And then, every time there's a game jam, we have a bunch of new songs to throw up. And, and eventually, when we solicit people, we'll have more genres and more things to draw from to show people, hey, we can actually do something closer to what you're looking for, as opposed to being like, oh, we only have 5 tracks and they're all synthwave.
Yeah, it's hard to convince a developer, well, like, we are going to be a good fit, but we have nothing to show you that would even, like, signal that at all, right? You just got to believe in us, even though you don't know us, and you're just getting this email from us. So, the more jams we did, the more our portfolio got sort of beefed up, and we were able to replace, like, just some of those initial stock songs we made that had nothing to do with anything, replace those with things from actual game jams, and then it sort of pads it up, and we just had a lot more stuff to show, and like Zach was saying, we could solicit people and basically like, this is a song that really kind of like maybe speaks a little bit to what you might be going for, and we kind of had
also
some
did
more
that
show.
Patreon where we did a Patreon for a couple of months where was it every month or was it every week we would do a new thing?
Oh, it was definitely every month. It's not sustainable to do every week.
So every week we would create
every month.
Every month, sorry.
Yeah.
Jesus. We would create a track, and it would be like a stylized track for like a genre, like sci-fi or Western or horror or whatever. And then we would create a small sound effects package to go along with it. So anybody who was a patron would get the sound effects package along with a comparable track. But those tracks we can also throw up on Bandcamp, and it's more eclectic stuff for us to do. We're doing the art to music. Music to art, where we collaborate with artists over the internet, where we send them a track and they create a piece of art to it, and then vice versa, they send us something, we make something.
I think that was a huge thing for us to start with, because we ended up doing some little I'm gonna call projects, but they were just a little thing we did with somebody, but like, I don't know how we sort of magically started this thing, like started like a momentum with it, because we got like just randomly through like Tumblr or something. I don't like, but we had artists from like Clay and like Capybara and stuff like that. Be like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do this. Some of these like cool indie studios that like we would never get a gig with, like doing music and audio at the time, but being able to work with the artists from those was awesome, and just do this little project, and it was really good.
Yeah, and basically kind of like the trend of what all these things were was just giving ourselves projects to make new songs, having more excuses to make more music.
Yeah.
Which is, that's how you're going to make better music.
Well, and it was also networking, wasn't it? Right. So like, a lot of times the jams, you work with people on some of these online jams, like Ludum Dare, whatever people call it. But like, we'd meet new developers through that, and that could potentially lead to things like the Mabel in the Wood game that is actually coming out early next year. That was a jam game that we didn't even work on. But like, we worked on something else on the same jam, and I think he noticed what we did, and we kind of noticed what he did, and we were like, hey, this is really cool. Like, maybe we could work together, and it ended up working out really well,
Yeah, and through going to those jams, I mean, we've worked with so many people from St. Louis that I feel like we're at least at that first jam, the one at Semitronics. Since then, I feel like we've worked with, I don't know what, I can't like quantify it, but
a lot.
It's really
a
lot. It's been really cool to be able to like kind of grow and work with other people that were also working professionally before, and
Well, I mean, the whole thing is just having a network. I think that's a huge part of it. It's all, like everybody says in business, it's who you know. And the more people that you get to know, the more that things just kind of happen,
Yeah.
gigs will just come up because someone says, hey, I talked to my buddy who you've worked with or that knows a friend of a friend, and we get a job through that. We get to work on a project through that.
Yeah.
It's so random. So just, doing jams was great for us because we basically got to know like everybody in St. Louis that was doing game development at the time, it was very, very helpful for us, and, in the end, in terms of like I guess it's more or less like getting started, right? Don't worry, don't stress about like what you have, what software you have, all that stupid, those really awful questions that people like to
Yeah.
to
I mean,
ask.
we did crash lands with stock Pro Tools.
Yeah, I just mentioned that in the Butterscotch forums actually. I see people were talking about synths, right? And I was like, we made the Crashland soundtrack with stock Pro Tools, the free Reactor player that you can get from
And
Native Instruments.
Expand. Yeah.
Yeah, Expand was part of Pro Tools, but you can actually buy it for $1 right now anywhere you want. It's just permanent, like for like $1 as a VST
Yeah.
if you want it, but it's really not good. But like you can get it, and we also have Contact Player.
Right.
I think Guitar Rig Player though I don't think we really use that on the soundtrack.
Not on that one. No.
Yeah, but like
I really only
yeah.
remember using Expand on it, and maybe in Reactor a little bit too. But
Yeah, like it was a lot of stock stuff, and we just made it work, right? If you can't make it work with what you got, then you should learn what you got better. You're not,
Yeah.
I think the most important skills to do when you're starting out is just working on social skills, like just being able to talk to people, make a connection either physically in person or on the internet. That's important. If you
Yeah,
go,
I mean
if you,
that's something I'm still working on. Like I
yeah,
feel like we go to GDC every year, and each year I feel like I have more and more to say to people when we're talking to them, and not just
hmm
like talking about like professional industry things, but kind of just having a real human conversation with somebody, and just like being a part of the
hmm
community.
yeah,
I feel like I'm starting to get a lot better at that, but I had to work at it. I do have to like research things and stay on top of certain trends and
hmm
follow people on Twitter and see what they're doing. And but it's been really cool because you make friends and you find out what their friends are doing,
hmm
and then their friends find out what you're doing, and that's just kind of how like the whole networking thing works.
yeah, and never be afraid. I think like never be afraid to like help people out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not talking about doing like favors for free for people. What I'm talking about is like, if you can connect somebody to someone else that needs, let's say you have an artist friend on Twitter or whatever, right? And they're like, I've got commissions open, right? Just something really simple. This happens all the time, right? Artists like commissions open, right? Help them out, retweet them or whatever, or make a really nice little retweet with a comment, be like, this person is great. You should really, consider this or whatever, or like people that we work with, a lot of times we need promotional tools and we will hire them. Like, we did that Battle Chef anime song and we hired Eric Kwong to do our new Fat Bard artwork because we're like,
yeah,
we love what you do and we just like to keep things in the family like that, I'd rather have someone that we know and that we like and trust to work with us on stuff like that,
yeah.
Eric Hibbler, we did our first game jam. It was with him, doing a game jam with him. He was the artist on the team. That's literally how we met him, and he ended up doing the art for us, and it really helped become like our branding. So it's all about that. So I think in a lot of ways, it's not necessarily like it's a given that you are, good at music and good at, learning technology and stuff like that. Like it's a given. If you really want to do well, though, it's more about stuff like social skills and learning how to network and kind of just learning how to work in a client environment, right? It helps me a lot that I recorded bands for years and years and teach lessons and stuff like that.
I think it helps for me because I play in a rock band and I have to kind of do the same sort of deal with that, and so it was a very comparable skill set.
hmm Yeah, I think if you have something else that goes with that, it definitely it can help.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think a lot of people kind of like they misinterpret that. They're like you don't have to be like a meme machine,
Yeah.
and like be like a super obnoxious, trendy social media person.
Don't
But
be
just
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't be that unless unless you're really good at it.
Yeah. If that's your branding, then I guess
Yeah.
okay. If that's like your thing or whatever. But yeah. Well, anyway, so that's kind of like just a ranting primer. But hopefully there's some information in there that might be valuable. But anyways, so we got a few submissions that we're gonna look at. And so the first one here we're gonna look at is Bamboo Rainforest by Dino.
Cool.
All right, here we go.
I really like the sound design. I like the pluck of the synth. I like the sound of it when it opens up, but I think the chords need to change because it's super muddy.
Yeah.
But I really like the sound design overall. I think it's really creative.
Got some automated panning going on. That melody. There's an issue with that attack on the strings, right? Being slower than everything else.
Yeah.
It's not always noticeable, but when you're doing a quick wah, bam, bam, bam kind of thing, it becomes more apparent.
Yeah, you can notice that they lag behind everything else. I think they're a little loud too.
All right. So, I think so there wasn't any percussion in that technically. No. You could argue that the pluck stuff, is percussion, right? But I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no to that. So I think
I would have definitely wanted to hear like a percussion track to keep the rhythm going, and just so you can hear other interesting rhythms going along at the same time.
Yeah, because you've just got those A's and boom, 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 boom.
I would have liked to hear more repetition in the melody. It was very wandery. It wasn't memorable at all. I thought that the instrument choices were really cool.
Yeah. Some of the random things that came in, like little sparkle here and there, was really cool. But finding a way to do that while also having a memorable melody is probably important.
Yeah. The rhythm did we ask for it to be? I don't know. We didn't ask for it to be an ostinato.
Yeah.
But we said, I guess we said ostinato or arpeggio. Basically something that's not just straight whatever. I guess that pluck synth was really like, it was like the bass and the percussion all in one. And there wasn't harmony, like there wasn't like something outlining the harmony all the time. There were, you had like these instances of swells of like different synths, but they were playing like one note, and it didn't feel like there was like an instrument that was like highlighting how the harmony was evolving and changing over time. And I think I would have really liked to hear something like that. Like maybe keep everything as it is, and then you have just like another synth going.
Yeah.
And then it highlights whatever, you arpeggiate it and you just pick the notes of the chord. And then every time the chord changes, you just change the notes to that chord. And then all of a sudden you've got this really dense, interesting texture. And you don't get like it won't feel so empty, because stuff will like drop out, and then you're just getting that pluck synth, and there's nothing else going on, and I think that can get kind of like sparse, and it can sound a little boring.
It's got a little bit of that synthwave strategy, doesn't it? Right, where it's like you've got this bass going, right, and then, but the thing is, I feel like it's missing the other thing that usually happens, which is like you're saying, either those arpeggios outlining the chords, or the held out notes,
right,
and then and like it changes each whatever measure or whatever. So like there's a chord evolution going on while the bass is still doing the kind of thing, right? I think it could use a little bit of that. But yeah, it reminds me of that in the sense that kind of that same strategy of how you hear a lot of synthwave songs do that kind of thing, where the bass is more static or just doing straight eighth notes, right? Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
And then there's those slow attack, slow release background synth pad kind of thing, sort of like outlining some chords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do like the sonic texture overall. I think that's the biggest like pro of this song. I think is the sound design in it, kind of the different textures.
I thought it was really creative. Because things would come in and I'd be like, oh, I haven't heard that before, and they would just kind of fade out, and it was very kind of washy, and but kind of going back to that string sound, I thought the string sound was a fine choice. I thought it was too loud, and you got to be careful about the attack of that sound. And just because MIDI notes line up doesn't mean that the sample that it's triggering is going to line up with all the other samples. So just be careful with that, and make sure that when you listen back that everything lines up. And if the MIDI notes are in line but the sound doesn't line up, you might have to nudge it one way or another.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times people assume, well, if the attack of the sampler or whatever, like I can't modify that, right? If I've got the string sample and I can't like modify it, I'll just leave it, whatever. It's like that's the way it was meant to be, right?
Right.
But you can still do it by just nudging the notes over, right? If you have a slow attack on your strings, your string note should come in early, like a 64th or 30, even 32nd note, like early, and then they will actually be on time. The other thing you can do is, depending on your software, and I'll do this a lot when I have to mix orchestral elements with non-orchestral elements, like really straight up like drums, right, where there's a very hard attack on things. Orchestral elements usually have a soft attack, and when you trigger that note, it doesn't come right away. It comes more naturally and slower. And so I will actually literally put a delay on the percussion instruments that are or just the non-orchestral instruments. I could have like two aux tracks, like two buses, right? So a bus, I'm sending every orchestral track into one. I'm flowing it all into one like aux track, right? One bus track, one sort of like master track.
Just delay it, whatever.
And I just delay it like maybe 25 milliseconds. I sort of play with it. It's a very short delay, just to sort of feel out how that's going to work. And then I have another aux master bus track, whatever you want to call it, and all of the non-orchestral stuff, all of the orchestral flows into that and is unaffected and doesn't get delayed. And I think that works really, really well. And
that's a good way to have more control over it.
Yeah, and that way you can just tweak it however you want. You can always just futz with the milliseconds of the delay.
Yeah, I always wind up like pushing my MIDI stuff back or forward, and then all my blocks are out of line.
Yeah, no, I do that too. It's usually only when I know I've got something that's not orchestral, but I should do it more often on individual tracks, like especially on our when you've got instruments that are staccato versus legato with orchestral stuff, or like a straight up legato lead instrument. Where like
I find that bass guitar VSTs can have some delay sometimes.
Yeah.
Very, very slight, but I've noticed that a lot. At least the stuff that we have. Yeah,
when it's plucked, I don't know, something about sometimes plucked instruments like that. But yeah, I've noticed that on bass, especially we use this Rickenbacker bass sound a lot. I think we probably use it too much, but it's
I started using the other stuff.
Yeah, it's like
using it so much.
Well, it's the best bass sample we have, so we just end up using it a lot. I do think it sounds pretty darn good, but it has a delay.
I think I'm gonna play that instead from that for the most part, unless it's something really like acrobatic.
Well, cool. Well, yeah. So I think overall the sound design is kind of the really strong thing here. But I think like we were talking about, kind of outlining the chords better in some way, some percussion elements. Watching your attack on those different instruments would kind of be the probably the main bolts here, bullet points here,
Yeah,
Zach.
and then maybe try to whittle down that melody to something
Yes.
a little more repetitive and memorable, and just shorter.
Yes.
Something that I can hear and sing back to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's check out the next one. We got Dirt Hero by Jordan Dube or Dube. I don't know. Jordan D. Let's check out Dirt Hero here. That's fun.
Yeah. I'm really missing some percussion here.
Yeah. The cymbal could definitely use more decay, more like reverb on it, so it stays out much longer. Oh, here we go. Okay.
There we go. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, that should have come in way earlier.
Yeah. Ah, I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
I like the bass line. I feel like because the rhythm is so kind of like syncopated, you could put that crash on like the 2 instead of the 1. So, you know,
agreed.
And 1 and crash or something, or 1 crash, you know.
Yeah. Or the and of 4, something like that.
Yeah.
Just a less predictable place. Yeah.
That was really cool. I really wish that all that cool stuff would have happened earlier. I was just like waiting for something to happen, and it did come, and it was cool.
Yeah.
But the intro was just too long.
Yeah, it's really just comes down to arrangement with that. It's just if you or sequencing really. If you just had that part come like 20 seconds earlier, 15 seconds earlier, would have made like all the difference.
I still would have used some percussion in the intro anyway.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of layers all at the same time. Like instead of kind of like sending out a little bit at a time and then letting that you could still have that moment where it all like comes together and you're like, ooh, but maybe at the beginning, some of that high stuff, there was a little kind of shaker-ish hi-hat sort of thing, right? Like that could have been there at the beginning, just kind of keeping the beats, doing something, or it could have had the triangle, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that could have been there at the beginning. Just hitting those random beats it was kind of hitting on. Just something to kind of hint what's coming.
Yeah. Did you mention the shaker?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my choice would be the shaker, to just have that shaker going. And then when you finally want to bring it in, you can add the crash cymbal and all the other stuff going on. I think that's what I would do personally. But everybody's got their own tastes. The texture was just really, really cool. So many things going on. So many little pockets where instruments would cut out and you would hear another instrument pop out. I really like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the arrangement of the percussion was really good, I thought.
Not even like the percussion, but like all of the instruments. So like you have like the bass doing an ostinato, which is great because what the ostinato does is it has these set spaces. And in those set spaces, you can allow another instrument to do whatever they do and really highlight them in that space. And so you're kind of creating all these pockets where things are kind of coming and going, and it creates this really nice texture that's not so... It's dense, but it's not like grating to the ears. It's not... It doesn't feel like there's too much going on. It just feels like there's a lot to listen to, and it's really fun to try to pay attention and catch all the little things going on. Melody wise, it was a little wandery, I think.
Yeah.
The melody was all just like on the downbeat. It was like do 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 do. I feel like the melody could have been more eighth note oriented, 16th note oriented, dotted rhythms. Do 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 something, But I think they were maybe trying to do kind of what we were talking about, where you have this longer, drawn out melody. But it's hard to have a melody that's long and drawn out when you're using a short released instrument. So like every time it would go do 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 instead of do do do, you kind of want like that melody to feel like it's going into the next note, as opposed to like part of like the percussion or the like a percussive harmony synth or something like that.
They're mentioning the sound of the lead instrument being kind of thin. I'm gonna listen back real quick to part of it. Just to see. So it has this boing, 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 but there's actually a ooh, that's underneath it. Actually, it's kind of doubling it.
Yeah. Well, what happens like in that higher one is like the filter closes, like they're holding it out, but you only get like the high frequency of the synth on the attack, and then the filter closes, and it's like and then it's like it's closed and it's hard to hear. So I would either futz with that and make it so the filter doesn't close or doesn't close so quickly, or choose a different instrument that has more of a defined, sustained quality.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's good that you're trying to kind of balance a high sound with a low sound, sort of, kind of like complete as one sound, the attack plus the decay. But you could either change the existing high part, right, like Zach was saying. The other option is you could blend the two better so that you've got the low part and the high part closer in volume, and maybe the low part maybe not quite the same sound. They're almost like two different sounding.
Yeah.
You could find a way to blend the two so that basically the boing, that's like the attack of the sound, right?
Yeah.
It's not uncommon to do that, right? Where you're taking two different synth leads and combining them, taking the attack of one and the sustain of another, right?
Yeah.
This is like not uncommon, and we do this a lot when we're doing like legato orchestral stuff, because sometimes the legato stuff doesn't sound attacky enough, and it sounds weird when you try to do quick runs of notes. So sometimes you'll have your legato violin track, but then you'll also have like a staccato violin track that's really quietly underneath. That just like helps it, and you're not meant to hear it as two different things. You're just meant to hear it as like, oh, this is the attack of the violin, basically.
Yeah, it just highlights each downstroke or
yeah, especially for those quick runs. But that can be really helpful to taking that approach for just anything can be helpful. But yeah, for leads, I like the idea of the two different ones, but maybe blending it a little bit differently or tweaking one sound or the other or whatever would probably make it work a little better.
Yeah, but I thought the track was great. Really nice job.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Tim Conceivable. Now Tim has just kind of submitted something that is not necessarily adventure-y, but that's fine. We're gonna take a listen and see what's up here.
Adventure is in the name, so
it is called Circumventure. So maybe he's. I don't know. Yeah, he was circumventing the assignment. I don't know. Let's see.
If it is kind of adventure-y, you could have just not even said anything. It would be like, oh, this is a great adventure track.
Yeah.
Because it's all about context anyway.
This is true.
Like sometimes like there's that one time where we did the art to music with Sandy, and I forgot that I had made a track, and I forgot that he was doing the thing first, and turned out that my track kind of worked as long as I spun it in the right context. And I'm gonna stop talking now.
Yeah. All right, well, let's check it out. Here we go.
This actually reminds me of what I just did for the AZ Text game.
Yeah.
That was really
Ooh.
cool.
Yeah, nice.
This is nice. Yeah.
This is good.
I really like the percussion in this. I like how it plays off of the arpeggio. I like how the arpeggio kind of skews the rhythm. And I like the extra synths on top. I really have no complaints with this.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. This could totally be like another song in that Rashlander game we did.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like this is totally up that alley. I mean, it's got some of the vibe of Fez. That's what Tim was saying. He said, I think it sounds like Fez or whatever. I don't know. It's like if you do any chip stuff where you have a slow attack on any sounds, everyone just immediately says, oh, it sounds like Fez. It's like Fez, right? Because like that was like the thing in Fez. It was like to he was using massive, but he was just using chip sounds. But he was really playing with the envelopes of them so that a lot of them would have like slow attack, slow release, and I don't know. I don't think that necessarily makes it like a rip off of it or something, or like makes it akin to it. I think it's pretty cool on its own.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was good, man. I really feel like you're like hitting a stride, man. I don't know. You've gotten to like, I don't know what you've been doing the last like couple years, but I've heard random stuff from you over the years, and this stuff's good, man. Like last couple stuff you've been doing, it's really strong. Like this is
Did
good.
you just do this today? Did he just do this today?
I think he did it today. I don't know. He can answer in the comments here, but it might have been something he was fiddling with and he finished today. But like when I talked to him, I think probably at like 4 o'clock or something, or 5, or maybe it was earlier in the day, but not he did it pretty quickly, whatever it was.
Yeah, Tim, I'd throw that at the front of your portfolio.
Yeah, he did like today. Yeah, that's good, man. It's really good. Yeah. It ticks a lot of the boxes. It's got I do like the pan percussion. I like the swell, the whoosh, almost sounds like a car flying by or something, right? It's got that Doppler thing going on. It's not, that's one of those times when it's like, well, could it be in a game setting, could this be inappropriate, right? Could it sound like a sound effect or confuse the listener because you do have this, it's because it's pan too. It's not just a swell leading from one section to the other, like a it's like it's going from left to right. It didn't come
across to me that way. It definitely, to me, it felt, since it was mixed very similar to the rest of the drum kit, it felt like it fit.
Gotcha.
I think if it was like an entirely different sound that had like its own, its own effects and its own mixing, then maybe it would be a little confusing. But I thought that it worked in the context with the rest of the percussion.
Yeah.
And I thought that it didn't just, to me, it didn't feel like a sound effect. It felt like a cymbal swell. It felt like something that was informing the rest of what the percussion was doing.
Yeah. No, it definitely, and that's what it is, right? But I guess it's just like every time I hear something that has panning automation, I'm always like, I don't know if this is going to work in a game, just because of that idea. Now, once again, this is not specifically for like video games or whatever.
Right.
But that would be that. I always want to bring that up because it's a consideration, and I think a lot of people don't think about that when they're composing music for games, especially when they're starting out. They're not always thinking about like the end goal or the implementation of it, or what the implications are of doing stuff like that, right? So I think it's okay in this, but I have to bring it up, even
yeah.
I think this is a great example of the arrangement, right? So arranging the percussion. To be, those hi-hats, that hi-hat on the left headphone came in only like 10 seconds of the song, right? It didn't make you wait very long. and then everything kind of hit not too long after that. And it was like the pacing was pretty good. I was never like, okay, I feel like we've been here too long and we need to move, or you know what I mean. It was well done.
Yeah, I thought it was also another case. It was a case of I think we talked about this last time, or maybe two times before this, but where sometimes you don't need a memorable melody if you have like a memorable rhythmic pattern, and that's the point of the ostinato. And I thought that kind of that synth, that pluck synth that was kind of going up in a certain repeated rhythm, to me, you know, it's not a melody, but it's a lead. It's a theme. It's something that you expect, and you keep getting it over and over again, and you can sing it back because you hear it so many times. And so I think that perfectly takes the place of a melody.
Yeah. Was that 5 and 7? It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like it was like in 3, like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah,
it
makes it work.
It reminds me of that thing that I did for AZ Text that I posted on Twitter like a couple days ago.
I can just pull it up here. What was it? AZ Text. You were doing. So this is another technique that's really common for using like mallets, right? If you're doing something that's kind of like malady, this can work really, really well. Do you want me to play the slower one or the faster one?
The slower one.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up here. Yeah. Yeah, it works because you don't need to have like a big, strong melody. You've got some melodic elements for sure, but like that's what makes it work.
Right, and it's all about like when you have something like this, it's all about like building interesting texture. Like everything is kind of repeated. It happens over and over again. It's very rooted in minimalism. But the whole idea is that like even though you have all these things that are repeating over and over again, each moment there are so many things going on that there's so many things that you could be paying attention to that it just keeps it fresh and interesting, because you can kind of shift your focus to one thing and then all of a sudden shift your focus to another thing and not even realize that thing was going on, but it was there the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, the concept's kind of similar, right? That as Tim has mentioned, right? And that's okay though.
No, yeah.
It's a legitimate technique, right? It's something that's in your bag of tricks, right?
I stole it from Steve Reich.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, cool. I guess that about does it here. I think all these showings, they're all pretty strong. I think especially coming back, going back 2 months, I think compared to that, I think that all of the entries are just getting kind of better and better overall. And it seems like everyone's kind of listening to the assignment and sort of, getting sort of honing into that better. But yeah, sounds good.
We'll send out another assignment.
Yeah, we are very sorry. We have been super lax in sending this assignment for this month, but we shall send it tomorrow to everybody. It's in the feedback thing. If you're not part of this and you're wondering what it's about, so you can't just sort of throw a song up at us during this hour. I saw someone do that earlier and just throw a SoundCloud link up or whatever. The idea is we want this to be a little more organized than that. So if you're interested, just send an email in the About section right under this big old video screen you're looking at right now. It has an email. So just email us, and we will get you in the loop on how this whole thing works. Sort of join up and participate. But yeah, we will send out something tomorrow. And so we will see you all later. Thanks for watching. But we will catch you later. See you.
See you.